This one is an LT Wright Bushcrafter. Pretty sure I have two of these. Why I have two of them, I don't know. Here's another one. Yeah. Actually, I think this is the LT Wright Genesis. This is the Genesis. I'm pretty sure. Call me on it if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is the Genesis. I have quite a few of his knives. I like LT Wright's knives. He is one of the best custom stock removal builders that I know of. And his blades aren't too expensive. All right, there's that one. And he's famous for his Scandi grind. His traditional Scandi grind. This is the Bushcrafter. LT Wright Bushcrafter. Pretty thin. Most of his small Bushcrafters are thin stock steel. This one is probably 1/8 inch, I'd say. This one is not as comfortable as this one. This is the GNS, LT Wright GNS in Scandi grind. The GNS in Scandi grind. Here's one with a saber grind. These are all great knives that I'm showing you. Great knives for bushcrafting. The guys that do this a lot, bushcraft a lot, really favor these knives. Okay? I like the way he builds them, and I like how comfortable his scales are, his handles are. Here's another one. This is a Jesmic. Now, when I got the Jesmic, because I am not a fan of traditional Scandi grinds that get real thin at the end, because I believe they're chippy. It depends on the steel, depends on the angle. You know, I'm not here to start any controversy, okay? I'm just saying that I, myself, me in particular, I will change it. I will change the grind from a traditional Scandi grind if I can. And I'll put that low-shouldered 20-degree convex edge on it that I like on my knives. And this one has it. This is a great all-around woodworker. Still feather sticks great, unbelievably, but the edge is stronger now because of the grind that I put on it. Okay, there you go. That's the Jesmic. Very comfortable in the hand. The Ulu style belly blade does take some getting used to. I've been working with belly blades for a long time, so I'm used to them. You know, when you're feather sticking with that traditional Scandi grind, this thing really wants to dig in, and it's hard to control. With this grind, it's not. It feather sticks great, and it's not hard to control. That sliver of wood comes from the point, hits that shoulder, and peels right up and curls over. No problem. It's you can dig into it. It's not, you know, not as bad as a traditional Scandi grind where sometimes they're hard to control. Sometimes they like to bite into the wood and then you're stuck. You got to pull it out and start over. This grind doesn't do that. It's easier to get control of this grind than it is, you know, the traditional Scandi. Okay, that's the Jesmic, the JX. Can't remember the number. JX1 maybe, 2, 6, 55. I don't know. But the Jesmic. I do a lot of sheaves for this knife. Thanks, Chris. Okay, here's another one. This is a smaller Bushcrafter. This is more in the neck knife style, companion knife category. This is the Top Scandi Trekker. Now, I'm assuming that you guys are going to be able to see the size of these knives by my hand. My hand is not overly large, it's not overly small, it's just, you know, a typical American guy's hand. I believe this is 1095 tool steel. You know, none of these knives, well, most of them aren't real special when it comes to the steel. I'll get into the special steel knives soon. The over-the-top steel. That's how I like to, you know, term it. All right. This is the Tops Scandi Trekker. This is a nice little knife. It is very comfortable in the hand for a smaller knife. The entire handle fills up your palm. It is a little thin for me, but it's a smaller knife. So, you know, it's got the scallops in there so that your fingers can rest in there real well. It's a very comfortable knife. The handle could be a little thicker. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Here's the LMF one that was redesigned by Mike Wallace and myself. The Yellow Hawk LMF one. This is the first lot, or the first series, or what do you call it? First, whatever. Okay. This is one of the first ones I designed, and this is the last one I have. That one's 01 tool steel. Well, when we redesigned this, we made it out of CPM 3V, which is an over-the-top steel. Puts just about any forgeable steel that I know of to shame. It just does. It's off the charts in impact resistance, toughness, wear resistance, you name it. This is my favorite steel, CPM 3V or CPM 154, which is the stainless version of this. These are crucible powdered metals. They can't be forged. I know one guy that has forged one super steel, Pete Kohler, but for the most part, you can't forge these. They are what they are. The knife maker buys the steel from Crucible Industries and makes the knife through stock removal. So I don't believe there's any forgers out there, no anvil pounders that are working with these steels, because you can't. It's impractical to do so. As long as you got the right heat treat on this steel, it blows most other steels away. This is the one steel, if I had to bet my life on a knife, it would be made out of CPM 3V. This one is S30V. The Benchmade Bushcrafter. Benchmade, right? Yeah. Okay. The Tops Bob. There it is again. I got some more here. I don't know which ones I showed and what I didn't. See, that's terrible. Okay, here's one. This is back when Peter and I were collaborating. We don't do that anymore. But when we were collaborating, trying to put out systems with a knife in a sheath, that didn't work out too well. But whatever. This is the Timberhawk Bushcrafter. This is 01 tool steel. At the time, he was fond of working with, can't remember. I can't remember the steel he was fond of. Pete goes in cycles, so this month his favorite steel is different from the next month, because I tell you, he's an upwardly mobile guy and gets to work with a lot of different steels, and he sees how they function, how they forge, how they heat treat. But I specifically asked for 01 tool steel. He made this as a gift for me. It's a beautiful knife. I used the hell out of it. It's 01 tool steel. If this was CPM 3V, this is the knife I would use most often in the bush, because I really love it. Medium-sized knife, not large knife. because I carry 3 separate knives in the bush, 3 different sizes. Here is this is W2 steel. This is the Delta Whiskey Backcountry Fighter, or the Delta Whiskey Fighter from Pete Kohler. Got California Spalted Buckeye. California. I can't remember. He took my original design for the Delta Whiskey Backcountry, which is this. This is as close to my original design as you can get. I mean, Mike Wallace pretty much took it verbatim off of my drawing. Mike did change the handle a little bit to make it more comfortable and more realistic to make, but he did real good with the design. Now Pete, he took some artistic license and made me a fighter version as a gift. So I like that. I like that he thought outside the box. Instead of a thumb ramp here, he put a thumb indentation. Alright, there it is. Beautiful knife, man. I love it. I don't use this one a lot. This one's a little bigger than I usually use in the bush most of the time. You can see that it's even longer than the Delta Whiskey Backcountry by about 1/4 inch. But it's a little long for me for medium style. This is good for a bigger style, but I'm not into huge chopper blades like the Tops Tahoma field knife. I'm not into knives like that. I went through that stage years ago where I had to have a big knife and big knife, Viking. Okay, I went through all that. Nowadays, I'm a little more relaxed. I want a knife that I can wield most of the time in the bush. Those big choppers are pretty much good for one thing: chopping. I use an axe for chopping. For fine tasks, you know, you need a knife like this, or a knife like that, or a knife like this. This is the Yellow Hawk Customs BMF2, the original one. I'll even use this one for smaller tasks, only because it has a choke-up choil. That choke-up choil, your finger goes in here, your thumb goes over the top, okay? It rests right in that gully right there, and you can push on this thing all day long, and it's very comfortable. Very comfortable. Okay? That's how I use it, or I'll put my finger back here, but I get more leverage this way with this finger closer to the other one, and I try to put both of them in that forward choil, and both of those fingers rest together and lock that thing in, so it's very easy to control this knife as a 3.5 inch blade now. That's a 3.5 inch blade. So it's easier to control for smaller tasks. If it didn't have a choke-up choil, I wouldn't use this for small tasks, unless I had to. But it was designed for both. And the key is that choke-up choil. And that choke-up choil is large. Any finger will fit in this. A gorilla's finger will fit in that choil. Okay? Delta Whiskey Backcountry. We sell a lot of these blades. You know, it's a $400 knife, CPM 3V, custom made, and it's going to take you three months to get it, maybe 4, because I got to build the sheath for it usually. But everyone I've talked to who's bought one said it was well worth the wait. The more you practice with that knife, the more you're going to love it. So that's generally what's happening out there with that knife. This knife here, I'm going to talk about a folder. This is a good backup folder for bushcrafting. It's the Cold Steel Finwolf. Traditional Scandi grind. It can be a little hard to sharpen because of the studs, but trust me, you'll get around it. because as soon as you start sharpening it, you're going to put a secondary edge bevel on it anyway if you're hand sharpening. So there it is. Want to get into these knives here. These are Rick Ruckstall's systems that we just built for him. Here's one. He likes these Inova micro lights just hanging off the end. But I want to show you the knife. This is a Bark River Gunny. G-U-N-N-Y, Gunny. This one is Elmax steel. Not quite as tough as CPM 3V, but almost. I've seen tests with both of them, and this one's a close second, very close second to CPM 3V. Elmax steel. Now, I say this in very general terms. I don't want anybody getting butt hurt because they like Elmax steel. Just, I know what I know. Everything I say comes from experience. I've seen it. You know what I mean? So, I wouldn't say it unless it was true. I don't like leading guys astray. That's the worst thing you can do on YouTube. There's the Gunny. Very nice knife. Very comfortable. Nice palm swell. Beautiful knife. And Bark River are famous for their convex grinds. I think they call them Scandivex. I don't know why, but it's a convex. Mild convex in most of them. This is a Bark River Bravo 1 in CPM 3V. So if I bought a Bark River, that's the steel I would buy it in. CPM 3V. You can't go wrong. You can bet your life on a knife like this. You can bet your life on other knives, but you might be gambling. This is your best bet, I think. One of your best bets. Okay, I'm not here to butt hurt anybody. Just telling the truth.